Hello, 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 y'all. Welcome, welcome. I'm so excited to be here with y'all today. Today is the last day of Global Hack Week, which always is a little bit sad, but also super exciting because we have a whole other day of Global Hack Week. Well, not a whole other day at this point, but we still have plenty more time. Welcome, everyone. For those of you who don't know, I'm Dimmer. Hello, I'm a coach at Major League Hacking. Today's stream is a follow-up on a part 1 of this stream that we did 2 days ago, where we are using Supabase, which is an open source alternative to Firebase. I think that open source is pretty cool. I think many people in the MLH community do. And also I think that cloud platforms can be really cool. So combining the two of them together is exciting. The difference, for the sake of data week, is Firebase uses a NoSQL database and Supabase uses a PostgreSQL database. But for the size of projects that I'm making, the two are practically interchangeable because I'm not doing complex data interaction and like hierarchy structuring, all of that jazz. It is just basically a list of all of the data that I have stored at this level. We'll go more complex in future streams, but for what we're doing right now, it's practically the same. Where we got last time was we have Supabase set up, we have our Svelte app set up, and I was having issues with the environment variables in Vite, which is the tool that I'm using to compile Svelte, and it wasn't pulling the environment variables that allow us to connect to our Supabase instance. So that's where we're starting. Where we're hoping to go in this stream is going from there to having our interface set up with Supabase such that when we press a button, we log user input. And then fingers crossed, this one's pushing it a little bit, but we will be able to get user input as well using the real-time aspects of Supabase, which is one of the cool things about it, is that it has real-time hooks for PostgreSQL. That is what we're doing today. We have a quiet chat this stream, which is totally fine, but feel free to ask questions in chat, to say hello, all that jazz. Does not need to be on topic. I like chatting with y'all. Also, channel point rewards are on, so you can use those. Those are at the bottom of chat. It's the little like bubble that is in like the lower left-hand corner of chat. And also the TTS command is on, exclamation point TTS. So you can have your chat message read out loud with TTS if you type exclamation point TTS. With that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Usually my streams involve a lot more rambling, but usually that is interacting with chat and answering questions and all that jazz. So today, because it doesn't seem like people are very, very talkative, we can just go ahead and get started right away. You'll notice when I share my screen here that this looks slightly different than what I was writing in last time. This is Zed, which is a macOS only text editor. I am trying it on a recommendation because Zed is not very fully featured. It is mostly just a text editor. It doesn't have like a lot of integration of IDE stuff, but for the tooling that I'm using with Svelte and Supabase, I'm not using the IDE aspects of VS Code anyway. I'm like not even using any extensions. So we're going to try this and we'll see. I have VS Code ready and waiting in the wings to switch to if we need it. We're going to try this. One of the things here is if we npm run build or run dev. Great. We see that we have a Vite build of our app, and this is where we left off last time. Great. And if we inspect, you'll notice we get undefined logged to console. And what that is us trying to log Supabase key, which should be importing from an environment variable, but it isn't. And I don't know why it isn't. So that is what we are working with. That is our first error. And we have the Vite documentation for env files here, or env variables. Are those two different projects in Zed and VS Code? No, it is the same project, just opened in 2 different text editors, because it is just plain text. In terms of the actual data that's stored on the computer. The tooling is all command line and based on configuration in places like our package.json and our package lock, in our Tailwind config, Svelte config, TS config, Vite config, all of these places. So it is IDE agnostic, the code that we've written thus far. This change that I have made is me trying to explain in case anyone is confused. It is the exact same project, the exact same tooling, the exact same everything. It is just a different text editor. So one of the things that I'm going to try here is I'm going to try console logging another key in console.log. There we go. And what this will allow us to do is check to make sure that we can read. Yeah, okay. So it says development there. It is reading correctly the variables. It is not like a Vite issue not reading any environment variables. It is just that it is not reading this specific environment variable, which is defined in .env.local Vite underscore Supabase key, which is the format if we look at the documentation here. .env.local is loaded in all cases and ignored by Git, which is what we're looking for. Loaded environment variables are exposed to your client source via import.meta.env. To avoid accidentally leaking environment variables to the client, only variables prefixed with Vite underscore are exposed to your Vite processed code. E.g. for the following environment variables, Vite sum key and DB password, only Vite sum key will be exposed as, oh, ha 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 ha. Okay. I left out the Vite there. In my app here. So let's try this now. Hey, it's reading successfully. Great. Which means that we can remove this and instead connect to Supabase. Great, everything's working. We have connected to Supabase, and it hasn't returned any errors. So we have fixed our environment variable stuff. By the way, did I miss Cloudflare tunnels, or is it coming up soon? We are not. Cloudflare tunnels is not going to be something that we're using because we are using Supabase in their cloud because the Raspberry Pi was not powerful enough to install it in the reasonable amount of time that we had on stream. I'm sure that I could have gotten it working, but we punted to using their cloud stuff just for the sake of time. So we are not doing Cloudflare tunnels in this stream. We are just doing the Supabase stuff. In the future, I would love to do more with locally hosted applications through things like Cloudflare tunnels and all these other tools that we talked about. But in this case, we are no longer dealing with that. Unfortunately, I apologize. In the future, if I have more powerful hardware to set up a home lab server, we will return to this. But for the time being, I don't have anything that could run something as complicated as this. With that, we have this. Great. We now, in our documentation, are looking to, that's all. TypeScript support, fetch data, insert data is what we're looking for. Which we have the code here. Values, the values to insert, pass an object to insert a single row or an array to insert multiple rows. I'm going to copy this sample code. And we are going to create an async function that we are going to call, oh wait, we already have log time for this exact purpose. We're just going to make it async. And from, what is our table called? Our table is called Unix log. From Unix log, insert, and our ID is our primary key, which I believe we can have be created automatically. So instead of doing this, let me double check the documentation here. Pass an object to insert a single row or an array. Okay, I think we can just do an object of timestamp. If we expand this out. So it would be timestamp. And then that timestamp is going to equal date dot now. Okay, that now says X4. Whoa, okay. Status 401. Unauthorized. Ah. Interesting. I believe this makes sense. I believe that there is, by default, pretty strict access restrictions. Installing, initializing. Create a new client. Let's look at the database documentation. I believe it's in row level security that I have like enabled for this. If I go edit table here, yes, I have row level security on. So that is why I believe I'm having that authentication error, hopefully. Row level security is incredibly powerful and flexible, allowing you to write complex SQL rules that fit your unique business needs. Can be combined with auth. Policies are Postgres' rule engine. Policies are easy to understand once you get the hang of them. Each policy is attached to a table, and the policy is executed every time a table is accessed. But this is reading, not writing. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to disable row level security. Ah. Okay, so no. Apparently row level security is also protecting our rights. That is what our problem is. Supabase maps every request to one of the roles, a unauthenticated request, the user is not logged in. Authenticated request, the user is logged in. Here we go, insert policies. You can specify insert policies with the with check clause. With check expression ensures that any new row data adheres to the policy constraints. Let's say you have a table called profiles in the public schema, and you only want users to be able to create a profile for themselves. In that case, we want to check their user ID matches the value that they are trying to insert. Where are we running this? This seems... This... Table editor, SQL editor, database real time, project settings, configuration database, connection string, connection parameters, database password, pooling configuration, SSL, disk management, network restrictions, network bans. Okay, where do we actually run these? Because I'm assuming this does not go into our front end code. That makes no sense. You can enable row level security for any table using the enable row level security clause. Where does that go though? This is our table editor. This is our table. Definition. Hey, okay. So this is read only. If I open this in SQL editor. Okay. Great. What we can now do so create table. We've done that. Create policy. Let's look at our insert policy. Create policy. And that policy should be that anyone can add timestamps on public.unix log. Oh, wait. For insert. 2, it should be unauthenticated. Oh, both authenticated and anon using true. Oh, with check true. To authenticated, anon, with check, true. Relation Unix log already exists. Ah, I understand now. Success, no rows returned. Great. Now if we go back to our table editor in Unix log, in our definition, one auth policy. Amazing. Okay, okay. And we can also do create policy here. So this is under authentication policies. Okay. Hey, welcome, Pharaoh. Okay, we now, unfortunately, I just caught that. If you had done that, oh, that was an extremely close one because I just saw that you were here. And I know that you sent that like 5 to 10 seconds ago with the lag. I noticed you glance over. Yep. Just slightly too late. Okay. But we now have that, which means that now if we refresh our app and try to log. Okay, I'm not getting any errors on the front end. Hey, Green Yoshi. Darn, you're getting good. So I think part of it is just that I have not, like, the best time to do a metal pipe is when I'm really focused on something. And the past couple of streams, I've either been quite distracted interacting with y'all, or, yes! Apologies, that might have been a little bit intense, but that was an extremely easy writing to database. That was much easier than when we did this with Firebase. Incredible. Great. Wonderful. Beautiful. We are successfully writing to our database in 6 lines of code, if you don't count the code that is the security policy. I understand this a lot better than I do Firebase, and then part of that might be that I did Firebase first, so I now use the things that I learned in Firebase to help here, but this is great. Okay, so let me open up our markdown here for learning goals.
Good job.
Thank you, Green Yoshi. Haha, King of Improv as well. So even if they're caught off guard, they can run with it. I mean, yes, I appreciate the praise. I try to be good at yes-anding in improv. It's one of the things that I do on stream. I don't think I'm the king necessarily, but I appreciate the phrase. So, just looking here at what we have done and what we still have left. Oh, these need a space in them to be proper markdown. There we go. Okay. Write a button to unpress that logs the time. Yes, we've done that. Write that time to the database. Yes, we have done that. Show a running log of all database records to the user. We have not done that. On 2 days ago, our last stream, create a local instance of Supabase. We could not do this. Deploy that Docker instance to our Raspberry Pi. We could not do that. Connect to our... I'm going to rephrase this to connect Supabase instance to our front end for database writes. We have done that. So now what we need to do is database reads. And there are 2 things with that. One, it is our front end is not currently set up for that. And 2, we need to use the real-time code. So I'm going to change the front end first. Okay. I got a weird text and I was afraid that it was like an automated message, and I was afraid that it was like Supabase being like, we have charged your... I actually didn't need to provide them with any payment information. Anyway, okay. So what we're first going to do is, those of you who are here for our Svelte stream, you'll remember that at the very end, we set up shadcn UI. And in this case, what we are going to do is we are going to change over our front end to use shadcn UI. Shadcn UI install button. Great. Installation. But we need shadcn svelte. We learned this last time. Here we go. Components, accordion, alert, button. Great. Let's install our button. Great. Component installation completed. And then usage in our script tag, we need to import button, and then we can use it. Great. So theoretically now this should look prettier. Hey, it's still shoved up into the right, but it looks like a button. It has hover effect, that sort of thing. Let's take a look here to see if there is a good pagination. Skeleton. That's not what we need. Okay. So unfortunately, wait, we're using Tailwind. So this would be where we use some Tailwind code to center this and make it slightly prettier. Center, Place content. Okay, Flexbox and grid. Oh goodness, it's been a while since I've dealt with Flexbox and grid. We're just looking for one column here. Would it be align content? Okay, let's try. Is there any? Okay, let's try apping this in a div. And in this div, class is going to equal, I don't know what H56 means here. Layout. Oh, we should look at layout first. Container. We don't necessarily need that. Columns. Columns with an element. Break after, break before, break inside, box decoration, box sizing. Display, floats, clear, isolation, object, position. Okay, we should just be able to use object center. Ooh, I do not like what just happened there. Why? What the heck is this linter? Okay. Oh, our container. That's VS Code. You can tell it's been a while since I've done front end. And I'm using entirely new tooling that I've never used before. Okay, H is for height. So, okay, what if I just define div class grid columns 1 and then place item is center, I believe. Content center. Content center to pack resonant container to the center of the cross axis. Let's great. Okay. So that centered it that way, which is what we're looking for. Now we just want some padding on the top. PT padding top. What are the numbers here? I guess there are 4 in a rem. Okay, let's add 1 rem to the top. PT 1 rem would be 4. And a rem is determined by the font size. Hey, okay. Great. Not beautiful, but prettier than it was before. Now, we want to be able to use shadcn. I don't know if that comes across on stream. There are sirens. Ambulance. Okay. There is the reason why we were originally going to use shadcn was specifically for their data grid or data table. Yes, data table. Okay. Data tables are difficult to componentize because of the wide variety of features they support and the uniqueness of every dataset. So instead of trying to create a one-size-fits-all solution, we've created a guide to help you build your own data tables. We'll start with the basic table component and work our way up to a fully featured data table. Tip, if you find yourself using the same table in multiple places, you can always extract it into a reusable component. Great. So let's install the table. And let's double check to see that the dependency installed. Okay. Prereqs, we're going to build a table to show recent payments. Here's what our data looks like. So we're defining a type that is an object that is ID, amount, status, email. Okay. And then we have our data that is each of those things. Great. We are going to create sample data here. Well, in this case, that's not super difficult because it is just going to be, our query is going to give us an array of timestamps, of Unix timestamps, and then we're just going to parse them into the UI. So we probably don't need a full data table here. Actions, checkbox. Okay, yeah, this is way more complicated than we need for this. Let's get our data first in our backend, and we'll use that to inform our decision here. So we've done that. We'll need to do more security later. But first, our JavaScript, fetch data, great. By default, Supabase projects return a maximum of 1,000 rows. This setting can be changed in your project API settings. Keep it low and use range to paginate. We could implement pagination, but that would be a future thing. Select can be combined with filters, and select can be combined with modifiers. API key is reserved keyword. If you're using the Supabase platform, it should be avoided as a column name. Good to know. So this gets all of our data, specific columns, query reference tables, through a join table. Oh, yeah. SQL stuff. Query the same reference table multiple times. Querying. We are just going to async function get data, because our project is quite simple. And it'll be from Unix log. And we'll select the column that is timestamp. Great. Now we need to run this using the real-time hooks. So, subscribe to a channel creates an event handler that listens to changes. By default, broadcast and presence are enabled for all projects. By default, listening to database changes is disabled for new projects due to database performance and security concerns. You can turn it on by managing real-time replication. Let's try this. You can turn this on by managing real-time replication. Hey, thanks for the follow, Trotty McQueen. By managing real-time replication. Okay, so here, under real-time, join a channel. The channel you initialize with the Supabase real-time client. Let's take a look at the documentation here. I skipped right to the documentation for JavaScript, but not the documentation for how we actually set this up. Real-time, send and receive messages to connected clients. Great, that's what we're looking to do. Broadcast, track and synchronize shared state, listen to postcode database changes and send them to authorized clients. Go to the database publications sidebar. So in our database, functions, triggers, publications. Hey, okay. Database publications. Looks like there's stuff there. We don't need that right now. Control which databases are event by insert, update, and delete. Great, we want all of those. Not that we'll use all of them right now, but we want all of those. From the client, we can listen to any new data that is inserted into the to-dos table. Wait, control which tables broadcast changes by selecting source. Great, okay. We've created our client. Create a function to handle inserts. Okay. Listen to inserts. So the interesting thing here is that we're on channel. It's going to be Unix log on PostScript changes, event insert, schema public. Wait, what is our channel here versus, because our table is Unix log. I know. Our table is, or our channel is Supabase real time. TypeScript parameters payload implicitly has any type. Okay. Yeah, I get why you're upset about that. I honestly don't know what this returns because it doesn't look like. Channel on broadcast. Okay, let's save this. And in our app here, if we now go back to inspect into our console, you'll notice the data is being sent to our table. The issue is that it is not calling our function handle inserts. So our subscription is somehow console log changes payload. So I don't know if this is running or not. Svelte on mount. Okay. Let's take this. Import on mount from Svelte. And then we're going to put that into our on mount function here. Because I don't know that that's actually running. So we do that. And then we also want to get data. And we're going to console log the results of that. Whoops. There we go. Oh. There we go. Okay. So now if we go back here. Got data dot. This is our asynchronous function. And then what is our, like, on return? I'm blanking on the type, the JavaScript here. JavaScript, async functions. Await. Yep. But what's the other syntax for it? Promise.resolve one. Dot then. There we go. And then in here, it is data. Console.log data. That should work. Let's try this now. Undefined. Let's take a look back at our database fetch data. It should be get data. This syntax right here is new to me. Okay, what is this person doing? Console log data.user. Resolve data, right? It's not assignable to parameter of type string. Why would it resolve as a string? Argument of type. No, it's not assignable. Wait. This does not... Resolve is the wrong keyword here. This should return... If we just return data, that should return a promise to data. That should do what I think. If that does what I think it does, this should be what we're looking for. Whoa. Okay. Let's see where that is located. Okay, it is in the return that I did there for some reason. This constant is unnamed. Response. Variable response. See, but this is defining an object, right? Yeah, that is, it is saying we have a constant. What are the brackets doing in this instance? Data error. Destructured elements. Okay. So what this is saying is that this returns an object, and then this separates it and breaks it down into data and error. So we do have data. I guess it is just a question of how to return from an async function. Do I need to explicitly return? Okay, it is explicitly return a promise. Really? Each time when an async function is called, it returns a new promise, which will be resolved with the value returned by the async function. Even though the return value of an async function behaves as it... Okay. Note, even though the return value of an async function behaves as if it is wrapped in a promise not resolved, they are not equivalent. An async function will return a different reference. Whereas a promise resolved with... Think of value as a promise. Check the equality of a promise and return value. Okay, that's not what we're doing. The body of an async function can be thought of as being split by 0 or more await expressions. If there's an await expression inside the function body, however, the async function will always complete asynchronously. Okay, so theoretically, we can return data here. That should work. It is here. But this should also work, right? Clearing up some of the excess tabs. I really need to switch what browser I use for this because I get too many tabs. What I'm looking for is... Oh, goodness. Okay, you got me that time, Pharaoh. Oh, goodness. Woo! Woo. Ooh, that one was a good one. Okay. We're looking for run code on async function completion. I've done this before. Let result, a return result, great. So we can let data, which TypeScript might not like. But then we can set data equal to .getData, console.log. See, but data contains a promise. Did I mention in an earlier stream that 404 says hi? You did not. Well, hi 404 from before, from afar. If not, he asked that I relay the message. Well, thank you. Hi 404. Data. Run code on finish of async function JavaScript. I believe it's .then, right? That's JavaScript .then. Promise 1 dot then value console log. Yeah. I was doing this right. We don't need that. Get data dot then. So after the asynchronous function returns, and then we pass data into console. This should work. But we get this error here. Uncaught error. But I don't know what Win30. Seriously. I'm removing the quotes to make sure. There we go. Okay. Error module path has been externalized. Facing the same insurance felt kit, which uses feet. Import stringify. Theoretically, I can search across. Well, there are only so many places that that could import. This doesn't seem... Oh, import Why do we have that? Oh no. Is this my internet down or is this Spotify down? What just happened? Spotify's still going. Looks like the stream's still going. My audio looks like it's still going. But does not look like music is getting to y'all. Better than it could be. Better than the stream entirely crashing. Huh. Okay, refreshing the page solved it. Great. Oh, there we go. Okay. Import resolve. Let's... I don't know why that was there. If we refresh now, hey, we have an array of length 0. Why is it an array of length 0? Which means one good thing here is that we have a SQL editor. New query. What? What is happening with my audio today? Let's take a look at the documentation here for Supabase again. Actually, whoa, it's 5 p.m. I've gotten really, really engrossed in this. We're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to stand up for the second half. This quick break, I'm going to stay here for it because I want to change something in my stream setup. Actually, no, I'm going to throw up the screen and change it. Why is music still stopping? Okay, we're gonna take this time to fix a couple of things. I need to restart Chrome. Great. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break because we're about halfway through the stream to stand up, stretch, take care of yourself. Whoa. So much. What? Okay. Something just feels off about my computer, and I don't know what it is. We'll see. Same issue just happened. Is everything going okay on the stream? Whoa, there's a lot of lag and dropped frames. Something is wrong, and I don't know what. Okay, I have exited out of my web application because that might have been what was causing it. I hope not. Seems fine, you are full screen. That is the point. Oh, ha. Okay. As in there's no shared screen? Yes. I'm not trying to share my screen right now. I'm just trying to make sure that everything is okay. Because I'm trying to switch to... Okay. Let's hope that music continues. I'm trying to switch to our stream timer to give us 5 minutes as a break. And things just seem to be going slightly wrong today. Okay. We're going to take 5 minutes. And then we're going to come back. Take this as a time to stretch, drink some water, take care of yourselves. We'll be right back. Hello, hello, welcome back. I'm taking another 2 seconds to finish up where I'm at. Setting up a new browser always sucks. Alberto had to update his browser midstream last night. They're wonderful tools and also incredibly annoying sometimes. There we go, okay. Hopefully this should be better. Those of you who've heard me talk about browsers before, I could switch to this screen. I still need my screen share to be hidden, but those of you who've heard me talk about browsers before, wow, my computer is lagging out. This is the first time that I've ever had issues with performance on my computer. I don't know what is causing these problems. Uh-oh, it might be... No, it can't be. OBS, understandable. Wavelength processing audio, understandable. Z is the new text editor that I'm using, and it is GPU rendered, which is one of the cool things about it. But it doesn't look like that is... We'll see. Well, let me log in to Supabase here. Oh my goodness, don't do this to me. Does it seem to be network-based or something related to my machine? It is machine-related, because it is also, I can see it in my renderer in OBS, which is not network-based. Sorry, I thought that this would be faster because I keep getting lost in the tabs. Great, okay, let's try this again. Wow, okay.
There is no rush. We love you and will be patient. Dimmer.
Thank you. Why is whoa, everything is, my keyboard's gone. What is happening? Oh God, am I still live? Okay, it looks like I'm still live, thankfully. I've like... What? Okay. Great. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome to Arc, my preferred browser. Just quickly setting it up. There's been lag and buffering on the stream throughout the session. Yeah, I don't know what is causing it. I will be able to diagnose it in the future, but I can't change that while the stream is going. From all of my diagnostics, say it's fine and taking a lot fewer resources than my laptop diagnostics do. So something's wrong, but I can't diagnose what right now. But welcome to Arc. It has tab management features that'll work. There's an up to 15-second delay between my chat messages and it appearing on screen. Maybe do the buffer bloat test. I don't know what the buffer bloat test is. I swear I'm not a robot, Google, please. Interesting. I'm gonna click start test now, which might be a stupid idea to do while streaming. Yeah, best to do it when not doing... Yeah, I'm going to close out of this. I think it would be solved by a restart of my machine, to be honest. Okay, that's not it. Okay, I can't diagnose this right now. We're going to do the best that we can. Apologies for any lag and delay. Ah, that makes sense. That would not necessarily change while I am live streaming when upload and download bandwidth is inherently saturated. Okay, so we have our application here. We have our Supabase dashboard and we have the Supabase docs. Those are up here in a separate section from where new tabs will be created, which will help me in my brain. So the issue that we're having This is my first time using the developer tools in this browser. Yeah, the issue that we're having this does not use standard development tools. Interesting. The issue that we're having is that we're getting a empty array here as the result of our query. From Unix log select timestamp. I'm going to get rid of... Wait, let me look at the documentation here. Documentation, database. No, we're looking for the JavaScript documentation. Under fetch data, let's just do an empty select here. Still nothing. From Unix log, which is where we're writing, timestamp. it might be that this runs on mount and nothing is defined at that point. If I take this out of here from on mount, const get data, there we go. Manual get data. How does it have any? Oh, I don't. Const function. We don't want a const. We want it to be a function. I was looking at this. I was staring at this, but that defines a constant and then puts an arrow function into it. Wow, something is so wrong with the stream. There's like a couple of seconds of delay in the video, but only on my What is happening? Future problems. Okay. Great. We're going to need to find a second button here. On click. Manual get data. Log time, get data. Now if we go back here, great. And we hit get data, it is that empty array. Log time. Duh! Security. This is the intended behavior. For I have not given anyone permission to read the data, so of course it's returning blank every time. Forgot about that. Great. Okay. In our dashboard, this project, okay, great. We are looking for the table editor. No, we're looking for authentication, policies, create policy. Great. This name is anyone can read timestamps. It should be for selects. Anon and authenticated. Using true. This should allow this to finally work. Whoa, okay. Manual get data is not defined. Oh, yes. There we go. Okay. Hey, our getting data is correct now. Well, we're getting everything. Now let's select specifically for timestamp. If we refresh now, we get a list of timestamps. Amazing. And we get the changes. It was all just a matter of our security rules that was breaking things. So, can you give a brief explanation of what has been accomplished with the most recent hey? Okay, so we have this code here that is our get data, which is an asynchronous function that uses the Supabase. Can I get some good context aware? Please. No, apparently not. Okay. We are using Supabase, which is the Supabase client, and we are using a .from and a .select to basically use their JavaScript implementation of some SQL stuff to get our data from our database. We were having issues with this before where it was just returning an empty array, and I thought that it was because my SQL, it's JavaScript in this case, but it's replicating SQL because we're using a SQL database, was incorrect. But actually, it was because our security policy said that no one could read the database. So it was doing what it was supposed to and returning an empty list, that data could not leak. Now that we fixed our security policies, it is actually, we are getting our data and we are putting it into our console here. And whenever we log time, whenever things are added new to our database, we were able to subscribe to those changes, and we see those changes getting received here as well, where we can see this information here, which we can then use in our project. So it automatically updates in real time with the database. So let data is an array of ints, of big
job.
ints, of big ints. TypeScript. Payload is complicated and whatever. Payload is defined by them. So on page load, we want to get data, and then instead of console logging it, we want data great, data equal to database return, type timestamp any, it's either that or no. That should fix this. Timestamp any, but timestamp is not of type any. Timestamp, oh, it is not an array. Timestamp big int. This should now be better, right? It shouldn't be any. We know that it's a big int. Oh, wait. It's an array of this. There we go. Hey, okay, great. Data is an array of timestamps, or it is null. And now what we can do here is we can implement our table. Now that we have our data, we can implement our table to show it to the user. So for that, we're looking for the shad cn svelte documentation. We're looking at components. We're looking at table, data table. Great. Oh, golly. Okay. Do we have basic table? So we're just looking for any kind of table. Let's look at table here. Okay, table is actually more what we're looking for, and it is much smaller. Okay, because we aren't looking to do any complex sorting. We just want to show it. Let's make sure we install it. We already had it. Import star as table. Oh, import everything in this. Great. The music is slightly too loud for me, so I'm just going to adjust that quickly. Great, okay. So we have our table here. Okay. So let's copy this. And we will just shove it in here. We don't want a caption. The table head. Let's look at the example here again. Okay, so these are our different columns. We really only need one column here. So I'm going to get rid of all but one column. And that is going to be timestamp. That is our first row in our header. And now our body. Here is where we use some Svelte code to do a for loop. Iterate. Great. So we're looking for, I'm just going to copy this and then we'll edit it. Each data as array like okay, we'll put an if not null around this. What was that? Oh, Google, I didn't ask you. I said, okay, well, and my assistant on my phone activated. Okay. Each data What we're looking for is svelte if. Okay, great. So if data, yeah, null is truthy. If data great. So we know that data is not null. Data is timestamp. And then inside of our body here, we are going to add a row. Table.row. No. And our table row something's happened here with the syntax highlighting. I don't know why these are now purple. We will figure this out. It is a table row, and then inside of that row is a table.cell. And that is going to be timestamp. I don't know what is happening with my linter there. Okay, it has compiled. If we go here, hey! Okay, not perfect, not awful. If we do this now, bada bing, bada boom. And now if we hit log time, we can see change received. Whoa, we get that 3 times now. What is happening there? Okay, it was just a weirdness in the auto update in Svelte. We get our data from the database. Okay, so now what we want to do is in our handle event, handle inserts, payload, let's, in the Supabase docs, TypeScript support, generating TypeScript types. Response types for complex queries. I do not know enough about TypeScript to implement this, and we have 24 minutes left in the stream, so we are not going to necessarily worry about that. It is good to use in general, but it is not our main priority here. If we look here, we are looking at .new .timestamp. Payload .new .timestamp. And if we do this, great. We are getting just the data that we need. And now what we can do is, I lost my code. Great. Instead of doing this, we can have data.append. Data.add. Push. The question mark there. Oh, question mark there. No, this is better. Because if we don't have data, we don't want to render anything in the table body. Okay, sorry. Data.push, payload did new timestamp. So this should, now if we click this button, 986 at the bottom, 986 at the bottom. There shouldn't be any console.logging happening. Okay. 1212 log time. Still 1212. Okay, so I'm going to go into our Supabase dashboard here in our table editor. I'm going to clear out our table. Can I not delete 27 rows? Great. So now if we go back to our project here and we refresh, okay. We have our one value here. The issue is we are adding to data. If we click this, we can see that now data contains different types. I understand now. Timestamp. This is payload. Great. Now if we do this, and we hit log time, we're getting our 3 values, but it is not updating the UI automatically, which is theoretically one of the benefits of Svelte, is that it should deal with this all statefully. So the question is, why not? Let's look at the Svelte docs. Looking at logic blocks, we have if, each, await, key. Let's look at examples here. Under each blocks. Great, okay. So this makes sense to me, but I want to see if we create a button, or in our script, function append cat. Yes, I know, you're quite mad at me. Cats dot push okay, great. And then I want to add a button. On click. Why did you not do that the first time? Anyway. Great. Now if I click this button, I keep going to save and then doing browser hotkeys. Is my code here wrong for calling that function? There we go. Okay, so you'll notice that we are adding to our array, but it is not updating in here statefully, which is frustrating because this is in the Svelte example. So we need to manually update the table, which in my mind defeats one of the purposes of Svelte, which is state. Marks a statement as reactive. So we could use an iterator or a function in our JavaScript to set up our table elements, but that defeats the point of using each. Svelte each update with state. Each things as thing. Oh. So I think what might be the problem here is that these will update if the data inside of the objects changes, but not if the array of objects changes, which makes a certain amount of sense. But if I give the whole object thing and adjust thing accordingly, it will always update all list entries. Yep. Wait. That doesn't seem to be the case, because I'm looking at this person's behavior. But if I give the whole object thing and adjust the thing accordingly, it will always update all list entries. Okay, here we go. Because Svelte's reactivity is triggered by assignments, using array methods like push and splice won't automatically cause updates. Okay, great. One way to fix this is to add an assignment that would otherwise be redundant, but there's a more idiomatic solution. Okay. I'm going to use that syntax because it makes less room for errors for me. If we refresh, hey! Amazing. Now, whenever I click the log time button, we log the current Unix timestamp to the SQL database. We automatically get updates to the database, and our interface updates accordingly. So, what we can now do is let's do some processing of this Unix timestamp to make this a little bit prettier. And we'll get the year, month, day, time, and make those different columns. Get the year from a Unix timestamp JavaScript. Okay. Let's try this. Hey, thanks for the follow, NYC2. It makes no sense for us to be storing this as a Unix timestamp. And only a Unix timestamp. Because I'm about to do a bunch of processing to extract the data from the Unix timestamp, when instead we could just put that data in the database in the first place. So we'll make those changes. Actually, we don't have time for those because we only have 10 minutes left. NYC2, if I may, what is the main intention of using Supabase compared to other SQL databases? Is it just like other relational database, which is more efficient and powerful? So Supabase is an open source collection of a bunch of different tools, including a Postgre database, which is what we're using today. And Postgre is an open source relational database. It is using, you've probably seen this elephant before, it is using a well-known database. So it is not the database that Supabase uses is any better. It is that it combines it with other tooling. In this case, the tooling that we are using is both this nice dashboard, the security rules packaged in the way that they're doing those. Both of those you can do with Postgre, but also the thing is real time here, which is specifically, this is the wrong page to look at it. Database is publications. Here we go. You can see that we have this publication right here, Supabase real time, and that is what is giving us the wonderful thing of when we click log time, it updates automatically from our database to our instance right here. Because what I can do is I can copy this, and we can have two instances of it. And I'm going to put side by side. And you'll notice that when I click log time in one of them, it updates in both, because it is coming from the database. It is not local. That is the extra thing that we're using Supabase for in this instance. No, it's not silly at all. Yes, when I used Postgre, I basically had to download the software and pretty much set up database and everything, but Supabase also supports cloud and real-time, yes. So you can install and run Supabase locally yourself, or you can use their cloud, which has a free tier, like most cloud services. And it adds the real-time functionality, along with, in the same toolkit, you have authentication, you have file storage, and you have edge functions, which are like serverless cloud functions. that you can either host on their edge servers or again on your own that uses a Dino runtime, if you know what that means. So it is not that anything in this is specifically like revolutionary. Some of this stuff, like their edge functions, they wrote themselves. I'm pretty sure they wrote their real-time stuff themselves, but their database is Postgre. It combines a lot of other industry standard open source tools into a package that is easier to use as both a new developer, if you are new to doing something like this, and also it's just less to manage because it is one like system, one import, one tool for all of it. It's the same benefit that a lot of people get out of tools like Firebase, where it is all in one. Only Supabase is based on open source software and you can run and host it yourself. You don't have to. You can either use their paid cloud or their free cloud, but Firebase locks you into Firebase. There is no, like, if you write your code with Firebase, you are stuck with Firebase. If you write your code with this, you could host your own version of Supabase if something happens with that company that you don't like. That is why we were doing these streams with Supabase. Hey, I'm glad you get it, and thanks for the compliment. I think that I try, like, I say this in a lot of my streams. You're a first-time chatter, so welcome. But I say this in a lot of my streams that I'm not the best technical programmer at MLH. There are many, many extremely competent technical programmers at MLH, but I think I'm pretty good at explaining things like that. So yeah, that's Supabase. You're catching us right at the end of the stream. We have like 6 minutes until I need to leave, and I'm probably about to leave. If you have more questions, feel free to ask, because we have 6 minutes to hang out. But yeah, what we have done thus far is we have, let me close out of the terminal here. How do I hide? There we go, okay. In 74 lines, we have our app, which imports the tooling that we need from Supabase, from Svelte, which is our front-end library, and from ShadCN UI, or our front-end framework is Svelte. Our front-end library is ShadCN UI. And then we authenticate to Supabase. We create our like stateful variable data that stores our data in our front end. And then we have two async functions here. One is log time, one is get data. Log time is a SQL insert, which adds the current Unix timestamp to the database. The reason I used the timestamp at first was because I knew it would be simple, one column in our database. But if we were to continue this, we would add a column that is like the username, and then we would separate it out into, we would have the Unix timestamp as well, but we would have year, month, day, time, so that we can query that from the front end a lot more easily without needing to calculate it from the Unix timestamp every time. That's a time-space trade-off, and I would trade the space every time for that. And then we have our get data, which is our SQL select statement. It's very simple. Just in the table Unix log, select the one column that actually has our own data, which is timestamp. And then we use this function handle inserts, which I am going to restructure from a arrow function just for my own sanity. I know that the two are compatible and interchangeable. And then on our mount, we subscribe to that real time, and then that is what calls handle inserts, which then updates our data in the front end, and we get data the first time it's loaded. And then we have some front end code here to display that, but that was not the focus of this stream. One more question, so I can pretty much generate data with the UI and not have to write raw SQL. I don't know what you mean by the UI here. Generate data with the UI. You don't need to write raw SQL. You can if you want to. There is the SQL editor here, where you can create SQL queries and test them, like the dashboard. I know you can run SQL here that will act as queries, but I don't, yes, okay, I understand what you're saying now. For setting things up, not for querying and inserting and things like that, you need to use code, obviously, programmatically, but for setting up your tables, you can use the dashboard. You do not need to use SQL to set up your tables. So you can create tables and add columns with the dashboard you just showed, but it is recommended. No, that is very recommended. That's how I set this up. I can just add another column here, and this column can be year. And type year can be stored in a... Oh, actually it'll be date. Date, default value null. We have a new column. And then I'm going to add time, which is going to be in a... I'm wondering, should I use time of day, no time zone? I'm going to do including time zone. Oh. I guess I will just use time. Thank you for the stream, Dimmer. The sessions have been quite fun and educational. I'm glad. I've had a lot of fun with these. I am definitely returning to Supabase. And definitely returning to Svelte. I feel like, again, the last time that we did this was Firebase and SvelteKit, both of which were slightly outside of the scope of my knowledge. And I could have learned those, but not in a stream setting where I only had like 6 hours with y'all and things like that. So this was a much more successful stream. You're goated, and hopefully I'll catch some of your streams in the future. Thank you. I appreciate that. This is my last stream for this month. So it'll be next month in June, which is, what is the theme for the Global Hack Week in June? It is... I will not be streaming next month. Next month is Web3. I might be streaming a little, but I generally don't participate in the Web3 ones. So there might be a gap. We will see. I might be doing some like non-Web3 stuff that is just like your generic Python, things like that, that you can use with Web3. But I do not know any Web3 technologies, nor do I want to learn. But that's a little bit... Sorry. Generally, I'm streaming every month. And also, even though my stream is ending, and it is 6, there is going to be another stream. What is happening after this? Oh, goodness. It is a TBD. Let me double check, because sometimes information is different in a different place. Oh, there is no stream happening directly after this. But 2 hours from now, wait, 4 hours from now. No, I have other things that, part of me wants to run long, but I have homework. 4 hours from now, there will be another stream that is on making hacks with vision transformers with Stefan. No. Steven. Brain. So that sounds interesting and exciting. With that, sorry, I was managing data and I feel like I've lost my energy. With that, thank you all so much for coming. I had a wonderful week, this Global Hack Week. I feel like I learned a lot about data, and I hope y'all did too. And I will hopefully see you all next month. Until then, stick around 4 hours from now. Oh, I'm also NYC2. I'm going to drop this link in chat, discord.mlh.io. So that you can interact with the... Oh my goodness. I accidentally hit enter and opened up Discord. There we go. Discord.mlh.io. So you can get into the MLH Discord server, which is where all of the organization for different events happen. It's where you can hear announcements, meet the community, that sort of thing. I highly recommend it. With that, now we are done with the stream. Thank you all so much for coming, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Happy hacking, and keep it crunchy, y'all.